Evening, everybody. Welcome back to 22 Panels. My guest tonight for, I think, the third time. You came
Yeah,
with
I think
Joe
so.
and you came with Pornsack. But
Yeah,
this
yeah,
this
sounds
this
right.
time it gets to be just you. Is
Yeah,
the
yeah.
the wonderful one of my favorite artists out there, Jesse Lonergan. Um
Good
I
to
I
good to be back.
I cannot express how much I like your art. Um
Oh,
because
thank you.
I still haven't found the right words for the most part, but like you're high on the list of people that as I'm reading your book, I will like regularly turn to my wife on the couch and just go, pretty.
Yeah,
Um, the new book is Drome, which I've been loving since its original Patreon form.
yeah,
And love all the more in this beautiful hardcover. 23rd Street and First Second did a really good job
yeah,
designing.
yeah. It was nice. It was nice working with them. And it was always something like I intended to see print, like doing it on Patreon is good in a lot of ways, but like I also feel sometimes for the reader, it's like the people who are reading it on Patreon, it's more like their view on it was my
Right,
view on it, where it's
right.
like it's not read meant to be read over the course of like 4 years. And so it was nice to get to work with for a second. Like, they let me do test pages and stuff and like to be like, oh, is this too dark? How does this actually print? And they let me choose all the paper and
Yeah,
we were
no, this is
talking.
a nice paper stock.
Yeah.
I was thinking that like I read it along with its creation. I read it as soon as it was done. I
Yeah.
followed your edits. I got
Yeah.
an advanced reader from what NetGalley. So I read it
Okay.
digitally in its final
Yeah.
form a couple months ago. You
Hmm.
know, I had
Yeah.
it pre-ordered both digitally and physically. Um, Unfortunately, my comic shop is
Yeah.
through Diamond, so the digital one
Oh,
came
okay.
on time. Or well, my comic shop had ordered it through Diamond, and actually, and I don't know if this is something that you'll know, but this is where I'm going to tell my listeners this might be one that you have to go to your bookstore for, at least for now, because it doesn't look like
Yeah.
First Second is distributing through either Lunar or PRH yet.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I don't know. I feel
yeah,
like it's it's been available. I've seen people have gotten copies, but I
oh,
know like Midtown Comics
right,
maybe said they were getting it this week,
right. I
as opposed to last week. Which is kind of like the biggest store in New York, I think.
right. But
So I'm not
I bet
sure.
you the Strand had it already.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I mean,
So
I
it's
went digging to try to figure out for my comic shop, and I know you can get it
mm,
through Macmillan, but Macmillan doesn't do
yeah.
enough graphic novels that
Well,
stores that don't
yeah,
do books are
right.
guaranteed to have a Macmillan account.
Right. Yeah, it is
Um,
like I don't know, it's a
so
weird division within
so
the comic
s-
book industry where
well,
like
and
there's direct market, all the
right,
floppies, Marvel and DC, and then there's the all the graphic novel
right,
companies, and
and then
they
when you
they don't
add
seem to
to that
overlap as
the
much as they should.
right.
Um,
But when you add to that the Diamond bankruptcy,
yeah, yeah.
so like Abrams, Scholastic, whatnot, they all had Diamond contracts. They
Hmm.
didn't care about immediately jumping to Lunar. To a certain extent, they
Right.
didn't want to jump to PRH because some of those companies are in direct competition with Penguin Random
Yeah.
House. uh,
Yeah.
um,
It's a bit of a mess right now.
Right. So my hunch is that First Second is going to wind up at Lunar, just for the shops that don't, but it's
Yeah.
not in their catalog yet. And or they'll convince more shops to start. I mean, they're two different sets of comic shops at this point too. The ones that
Yeah.
are that are very single issue heavy
Hmm.
tend to minimize the number of distributors they work with. The the shops that are um very graphic novel heavy might have been dealing with as many as eight different distributors before Diamond started falling apart.
Right. Yeah.
Just because, as you pointed out, particularly in the non-superhero realm, there are a lot of graphic novels coming out that like the comic shop world like doesn't know about.
Hmm. Yeah. It seems to me the amount of division within the industry that on that sort of level that like manga is its own thing, web
Mhm.
comics are their own thing, graphic novels are their own thing. Um, mainstream whatever, the monthly floppy issues are their own thing, and to some extent that they don't seem aware of each other
Right,
is uh, I guess has happened as a result of a sequence of events.
right.
But it seems strange. Like
Yeah,
I think it's strange to me that somehow manga has become this like huge juggernaut within, the for lack of a better word, like sequential art space, and DC and
right.
Marvel didn't aren't a part of it at all. Like like
Well,
manga
DC has
companies
a little
had to
bit
be
now.
wanting to get into the American market for so long,
Right.
and there's these two big companies, and somehow both of those companies totally missed the boat. And a
I
company
mean, they
like
totally
Viz,
they
which
they they
is, if
were.
we're talking big two, way bigger than DC,
Oh yeah.
way more sales than
Yeah.
Marvel, and that those companies just missed it. Seems
I
strange to
mean,
me.
I
I don't know
laugh
how
at
all the business works, but
I've picked up some, and I laugh at the number of people who still think of DC and Marvel as the big two because they're
yeah,
barely the big two floppies. And that's
yeah,
they wouldn't be if you took away Batman, Spider-Man, and the X-Men.
yeah,
You know, and like Scholastic kills them,
yeah.
Viz
Scholastic
kills
and
them.
Viz would be, I think, the real big two.
Abrams probably gives them a run for their money at this point.
Yeah,
Um,
it's so hard also just to compare,
no,
like it's
because
it's
they're different
it's
stuff.
finding numbers and stuff like that can be really,
Yeah.
really difficult.
But this is also why this is one of the reasons that I have always loved you beyond the fact that I read your work and look at your art and just am always in awe of trying to deconstruct how your brain worked to put it together is that you're the one person that like crosses all boundaries. You have books coming out
Um,
from Boulagan. You now have a book from First Second. You've worked at
yeah.
indie publishers. I think you've done at least something at Marvel or DC. Not a ton,
I've only
but
done like 4 pages at DC.
yeah, I
I was
feel
in
like I saw your
their
name
New
on something.
Gods.
Right.
Yeah, they have their like little the New Gods, the recent series. It has like 4-page guest spots each issue, and I was
Right.
one of those. Yeah.
Right. So like you have somehow managed to be that guy that like everybody in the industry knows who I'm talking about when I say Jesse Lonergan. And that's weird for me because I'm normally the only guy that like goes to the teeny tiny zine fest and
Mhm.
the mid-level independent show and
Yeah.
C2E2. You don't
Yeah.
have many crossovers even among fans
Yeah.
that go to all of those events.
Yeah, it's kind of weird for me too. I don't know that I often feel kind of out of place at wherever I'm at.
Well, isn't that just the definition of pretty much anybody in comics, period?
Yeah, I think so.
That's why we get together at these
Like,
cons. We feel out of place
yeah,
everywhere, including the
yeah,
cons, but at least at the cons, we're a little less out of place.
right, yeah.
Um, so they wrote good copy on the, or did you write that copy on the inner flap,
No,
or
no.
did they wrote good copy on the inner flap? Do you want to introduce your book, or do you want me to read their inner flap copy? Because I was kind of
Um,
impressed.
I mean, if you want to read it, you can. It'll probably
No,
do
it's
a
up to
better
you.
job than. Yeah,
Uh,
go ahead.
First, there was nothing. Then there is life, and an endless cycle of violence begins. From the depths of the ocean, a mighty demigoddess emerges to teach a language of peace. Civilization takes root. The champions of order reign, but chaos has a champion of its own. And then they call you a visionary creator, Jesse Lonergan. Drome is a creation myth for the modern age. So
Hmm.
give me your front counter pitch for Drome, or like, since you finished it before you started shopping it, how did you shop this book? What was your
I didn't. I
quick,
didn't. My
this is
quick
what it's about.
way. I mean, I shared it with people,
Okay,
and one of the people I shared it with was Matt Kint, who I've become friends with, and
that's a
he
cool
was
guy.
like, "Oh, let me show this
I
to
haven't met
to
him,
my
but he's a
agent."
cool guy.
Oh, he's a great guy. No, I love Matt, and he said, "Let me show it to his agent," and that, then the agent can kind of open doors that I can't open myself.
There
And
you
so
go.
it ended up with First Second and Macmillan. Um, I didn't really, I wasn't really involved. I'm really bad at
You
pitching
didn't have to
things,
come
and I
up with a
wasn't
way
really
to pitch it.
involved with like, and it's kind of something like at shows, I realized like very early on, I cannot talk someone into buying anything, and so I felt like whatever it is on my table had to sort of speak for itself because my talking would not do anything. And so, you know, creating this thing that has kind of an immediate like I feel like you sort of understand what it is you're looking at really quickly, but there's still more to find out. And so like it, feel like it immediately says it introduces itself. And
Yeah.
I feel that that's been my technique maybe for the last 10 years of comics is to try and do everything so that the comic is sort of speaking for itself without me having to say much of anything.
I mean, that's not a bad strategy.
Yeah,
Um, I I'm trying to decide, it's a great strategy when we're a visual medium, but we're an audio medium. I'm trying to figure out how
yeah.
to,
It
Mom, get
is
this
a
for the
very
library. I don't know why, I don't know how to tell you why, but you're listening. Get the library, get it.
yeah,
Drome by Jesse Lonergan from First Second.
yeah. I mean,
There, we got you a sale.
it's I think one of the things with it that also I think is sort of a challenge for words is that so much of it is conveyed in visually that
Yeah.
like it's not just like a narrative that's and I feel and I felt the same thing with other books I've done where like to say the narrative is to miss a lot.
Yeah.
It's like telling the story of a song and it's like well just because someone told you what happened in this song doesn't mean you've heard the song. Um,
Mm.
and
Yeah. I
sort
mean,
of I have that kind of feeling about it where
it's a
um,
love story and a revenge story and a creation myth, and
yeah,
it's it looks like, I mean, even people familiar with your work, it looks like nothing you've ever seen in a comic before. It hints at everything, but is its own thing.
Yeah.
I love your use of shadows in this book.
Mhm.
Um, I
Yeah,
love the panels that are two or three, or I love the pages that are two or three different things at once.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
It feels like a lot of things that I had been working on previously, sort of like everything is sort of coming together in this. Sort of visual ideas. I started playing with narrative ideas. Also I think just sort of my personal skill set as well in terms of what I am able to do, um, sort of coming together as well.
so like uh, this is longer than any other work that you've done, and also while it was kind of set up in chapters that could have been issues, it's really kind of clearly a big work almost from the get-go. So,
Yeah.
like, how did you plan it out? How did you approach it? What was the same? What was different in terms of how you approached this project?
Um, I think I approached it like the ideas had sort of been like bouncing around in my head of like this type of narrative that I wanted to tell, and sort of this tapping into this mythological stuff, this sort of you know early people's narratives where it's sort of not necessarily a creation myth, but something like an epic where it's Song of Roland came up as like thinking of something like that. And so all these ideas were sort of like cooking in my head for a number of years. And then finally I sat down and came up with an outline of the story. And then that was only probably about 2 pages, because I knew it was best. I think the more narratively that I plan, the less interesting it is. I feel like my narrative thinking mind, my editing mind is not that creative, but my drawing mind is pretty creative. And so leaving a lot of like the details. And so really just sort of having this like basic structure and then sort of filling it in, basically very slowly over, the period of 4 years.
Right.
Um, and and kind of trusting myself that it would hold together, which definitely felt potentially foolish at times. That like, oh, this might I might not be able to make this work the way I want it to work. But then, you know, as it went on, it sort of felt like pieces were falling into place, and ideas were sort of just clicking together visually, and narratively at the same time.
So, and I kind of know the answer to this, but just because it like is mind-boggling to me, do you work mostly in order? I mean, you start
Uh,
drawing page one and finish a page and look at the next page. And I mean,
yeah, I generally work in order. But I do go back and edit. So, I worked in order for I don't know, for 320 pages, 340 pages, I don't know how many, and then went back and sort of looked at what I had and changed things or moved things around, or shifted things. But generally, yeah, I try to work in order. Um, I don't always. Other projects I haven't worked so much in order. Like they might start off with sort of a middle idea and then build out from the middle. But this one, it started mostly in order. I think there's a few false starts before, things that sort of ended up being, I don't know, just in different sequences. And like the very first page, was actually drawn very late. You know, it was the first page of it is drawn after the whole thing was finished, and there were edits in that earlier section that I felt would make it stronger in terms of tying into the end and stuff. But that's sort of more of the editing process.
Okay. Um, I mean, that's a good next step. Like once you've got this big thing, and I know you've mentioned that that first second, you know, was relatively happy with it. They didn't say that anything needed to be taken out. They encouraged you to
Yeah.
add things back in.
Mhm.
What is the editing process like at that point? I mean, I mean, because I know that you combined some
When
pages. I know that you
yeah, I
rearranged a
mean,
little bit, added some stuff.
mhm. I think like um yeah, to me, I sort of I make things because I want to make them, and then I guess I sort of trust that I'm doing work at enough of a level that someone will publish it, when I'm done. And so like I have my own editing sort of that I go through just to make things make sense. If I think something needs to be stronger, or if I think a sequence is too long, I'll just redraw it to be shorter, or just cut sections out. Or if I just don't like a drawing, I might just go back and redo it. And then when I got it for a second, they didn't have any removal notes. They did have like one sequence they felt could be a little bit. They felt like one of the characters sort of got lost within a sequence, and they wanted me just to add in a section with that character, just sort of as like, this is where this character is and this is what's happening. Um, and other than that, there wasn't really too much else, in terms of editing. There might have been some like text editing, as well. I don't really remember. Not much, because there's not that much text. So
No,
um,
I was at a Zine Fest this weekend, and there was actually a guy who had a zine that was reminiscent of you, which is why I was surprised when he didn't actually know who you were. And I was trying to describe this book to him. So when I said I had words, he's like, ah, I don't like them with words. I'm like, well, it doesn't have a lot of words. I wouldn't be surprised, and I haven't gone to count yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if there are more pages than words.
oh, I wouldn't be surprised at all.
And there are certainly way more panels than words.
Oh yeah, but I mean, I don't know if there's 300 words. Like
I
with words,
Yeah.
not. I just, I guess I just don't think of them as sort of necessary
Yeah.
to the type of story I wanted to tell. Like I
Right.
think of working sort of in this like, mythological construct, and when I think of like the story of Theseus or something like that, or Perseus, or like these stories, I don't think of actual lines of dialogue. There's not that much talking.
Right.
They're more like action based, and so like the maybe there's one famous quote, but like Hercules, I'm like, I don't know anything that Hercules said. Supposedly, I know the things he did and the challenges he was given, and sort of like that's kind of where my mind's at. Is it's about showing these actions and having this sort of action forward thing. And so if words don't feel like they're necessary, I just don't really use them.
Right.
But there are times where words are helpful, and they can convey an idea much
I
more
love how you
quickly
couldn't quite
than
call them necessary there. You had to look for the word and said helpful.
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I think sometimes I think about it. I lived overseas. I was a Peace Corps volunteer, and I was in Turkmenistan, and there would be movies on in Russian, and I didn't learn Russian. The language I learned while I was there was Turkmen, which I didn't get very good at all. But the movies would be in Russian, but like you, I would watch them, and there might be a few points that were unclear, but otherwise, it's like I can follow what's going
You can
on.
pick
Like
up a lot.
I don't. I'm missing nuance, and like comedies totally didn't work. Like
Yeah,
things like that. And there were certain types of movies that just wouldn't work, but like an action movie, it's like you can follow an action movie without any any of the words or the talking. And to some extent, I feel like with that kind of movie, the talking is there because there's sound, and it's
right,
and it's people talk, and I feel like with comics there is no sound. There's so you can write "pow," but there's no sound there. And so I just find myself sort of not feeling the need to put it in. Um,
right,
but you you can convey ideas, and I think a, a different type of story would benefit from more talking.
right.
But this type of story, I just didn't think it was necessary.
No, it absolutely was not. I think eh, every word that you have in here has a purpose and like I don't necessarily think that a lot of them could be cut, but there's no place where I'm like I need somebody to tell me what's going on,
Right. Yeah.
you
Yeah. I
know.
mean, I think,
Um and like part of it is that how much time do you envision taking place in world? I'm just curious as to whether
oh,
you
from
your thoughts on
the
it and my
beginning
thoughts
of
on
this
it are similar.
story
Yeah. Yeah.
to,
Yeah.
uh, I don't know. Um, I think, I don't think I show that much, but years, like
Yeah.
I feel like it's a long period of time, but not like eons or anything, but like, I don't know,
Well, I
maybe the
kind of
whole thing is within 5, 10 years.
I mean, see, that's tighter than I would have put it. I feel to me, at least reading it, and I'll have to, with your thoughts, I'm gonna have to go read it again. I kind of feel like the middle part is 5 or 10 years, but there's the build up and even that 5 or 10 years, it's like you realize that like this whole action and revenge and love and jealousy thing going on is like an eventful 5 or 10 years, but and the way that you
Yeah.
like the and like the lack of words is part of what makes it flow so well. You're able to express that like these are campaigns that are happening,
Mhm.
not conversations or one-off
Yeah.
fights or you
Yeah, yeah, maybe
know
that might be another reason why I avoid words is their time aspect of
right,
conversations are so short, and the creation of an army is long, and
right.
so those sorts of having a conversation go over it might create a different sense of time.
Well, and more I realize that that's what I love about your um innovative use of panels the small panels that aren't
Mhm.
always strictly panels is by
Yeah.
breaking them, they force me to spend more time. It's like you've taken a little tiny bit of control over how the time passes, which is like
Mhm.
not something that a comic artist can normally. I mean, that's normally in the it's one of the reasons I can do horror in comics is that I get to decide the pacing.
Mhm.
I get to the page that
Right.
I can't handle, and it's like, oh
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Whereas because of the way you split stuff into panels, even that page that is essentially a splash page, because it's like a 20 panel splash page, I spend a little bit more time with it than I might otherwise, just
Yeah.
because my brain has to figure out. And I've come to realize that sometimes what it is like is that it's just telling me that time is passing, but
Right.
but my brain has to stop and figure out what the gutters mean.
Yeah.
Doesn't always have
Yeah.
to stop long, but like
Yeah.
I'm
I like a density, having a sort of a large number of panels to play with. And um, I think in order for a lot of that panel stuff to work, I need to create sort of an expectation of
Mhm.
it with the audience. So like, the first page starts off and you're going to get a ton of panels, and it sort of sets up like the way this comic works. Um, and then yeah, I like the possibilities of like moving having it be a little bit of a puzzle sometimes. That's an enjoyable puzzle to sort of figure out. But that also, I like the idea that you can look at a page, and if you don't look closely, you can miss something. Um,
Yeah.
and sort of like, you know, approaching it sort of not necessarily with comic book influences, but I mean, which there are a ton of, influences. Like Chris Ware was a huge influence.
Mhm.
Um, Mobius is an influence. Jack Kirby is an influence. And so it's not like
All
it's
three of
coming
those
out of.
definitely come out, and I don't know how many people say those three in the same sentence.
um, I, I I feel like Mobius and Chris Ware, I've definitely gotten a lot. Kirby, I'm getting more in
No,
talking about
I
Drome.
meant how many artists say, yeah, my influences are Jack Kirby, Mobius, and Chris Ware.
Oh, yeah, I don't
Yes,
know. I
I think that's
feel,
I think I have even used those words to describe your art,
yeah,
but I almost feel
yeah,
bad when I say the Kirby because it's like he feels like a different beast, but you do have that beast in with the
yeah,
other beasts, you
yeah.
know.
I guess I see different things in
Yeah.
each one, and with Kirby, it's just pure creativity.
Yeah.
It's that so many ideas come out, and so much energy in the drawings, and so much. I don't know. It's just, yeah, it's just
Yeah.
pure creativity, pure energy coming out of
Right.
it, and
Right.
and that's.
But this is also a place where like I mean, you said that, and I had just stopped. This is page, for anybody reading along at home, what I'm holding up for Jesse right now is pages 102 and 103,
Mhm. Yeah.
which is like you in microcosm, because like the action is hidden in 10 panels in the bottom left.
Right. Yeah.
And because you split the big splash into what, 20 panels? Only, and
Probably 50.
well, no, I'm sorry. Um, it's five by
Six.
five
It
by
should be 60
seven.
panels, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, 5 by 7. So 35. Yeah. Um,
Uh,
because you split it into 60 panels, even though it's a splash, it's like
yeah.
that moment of anticipation sits there. And then you've
Hmm.
got the two panel where you see the fear in his eyes, and then the charge, and then you drop the color so that you can see the hand go to the sword, and just like it's all there, and like the decisions for where the panel crosses the body, and
Hmm.
where like the multi-swordsman is all in front of the gutters, as is his
Yeah.
sword. The
Hmm.
I'm going to call him an ogre for lack of a better term right now. It has the panels on top of him. It shows like,
Yeah,
and
like
then the next page
the
is just frantic, crazy action with curves
mhm.
and
Yeah, I mean it's I with that with that fight sequence, like part of it is trying to
and
yeah,
yeah,
to
I should point
use
out that
use
the
the
pages I'm talking
language.
about are in the middle of a fight sequence. There have been
Yeah,
a couple of pages of fighting, and there will be a couple more, or a couple
it's
more
about 20
spreads.
pages, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, I'm sorry. I thought we were at the end of it sooner. So yeah, no, that
No.
was 102 and 103. The fight, I think, ends on 115, and it had started on um depending on how we decide it started. Well, the justice by combat
Oh, that's
is
always
94, and
yeah.
then the next page you're at the arena.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah, 20 pages.
Yeah. Yeah, it's sort of, trying to use the medium to sort of create like, these relationships between things. So like there's this swordsman and he's sort of above the panels, like he for much of the fight is sort of free of the panels because he's trained and able to move while who you call the ogre, I call Red, is sort of
Okay.
bound by the panels, and
Red
sort of
works for me. I like that better.
he's like restricted,
Right.
and sort of like held in place, and sort of like he's this being of nature, but he's in an arena, which is the swordsman's space, and so the swordsman almost like works like on a magical level where
Right.
he's able to move between the panels, he's able to move above the panels, um, while Red is sort of trapped within them, and
Right.
sort of using that kind of play and relationship. And I don't know how immediately it comes across to a reader, but I think it has that effect, that feeling of like this guy's free, this guy is trapped. And
Something that I didn't like notice until like my eighth or ninth reread of
yeah, you
Saga.
might have read this the oh
No,
okay,
no, of
Saga, okay.
Saga
uh,
was that all violent sequences are crooked panels. So
hmm,
rather than nice level panels, the panels are askew. But as soon as I noticed it, I went, I've been feeling this the whole time. This is
yeah.
part of the reason why. So whether people notice what you did that made them feel
Hmm.
that or not, they noticed. And for that matter, I'm noticing right now when Red turns the tables, he's
Hmm.
on top of the panels.
Yeah. um, yeah, I mean it's trying to
Starting precisely when he manages to reach forward and grab the arm or the leg of the swordsman. He is
yeah.
now he is reaching out from the panel. One half of him has panels on top of him. The arm that reaches out is on top of the panels, and then on the next page where he slams him to the ground, A, he is completely on top of the panels, and B, the swords are starting to fall under the panels.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
so
just
it's
that's
I don't know,
brilliant.
having fun with the medium, which is sort of like how my brain works, I guess.
Yeah, so that's where I'm going to go with my next question. Is that like I have to imagine that by the time you were done with it, you were very conscious of what you were doing to make it consistent across the pages. But was that
Um,
something that as you started to write the fight, you went, I'm going to do it this way, or did you start drawing it that way and notice it?
uh, it was a conscious decision to have a character enclosed and a character not,
Okay.
and to use that relationship to sort of convey the power dynamics and their shift through the fight. I think like sometimes ideas though will just come from drawing and laying something out, and it it's like you have like you're drawing something, you're like, oh, that's an interesting idea, and then that leads to another idea that I think is interesting, and then another idea, another. So it's sort of this back and forth of like intention. Because sometimes like I have an idea and I'm like, oh, this will work great, and then as soon as I start trying to draw it, it just doesn't work. Like it's
Right.
like, oh, this doesn't really read. There's no energy in it, and I guess that might be also part of the thing with why I, I try and write like literal writing to a minimum is like I can have an idea for how something will work, but I won't know whether it does unless I actually draw it. And so I find it better to not be dealing in hypotheticals and just sort of like, well, work on the page and see what ideas come, you know, that sort of thing.
So, another process question. Um, I mean, first, and I think you've answered this before, but with any given artist, it sometimes changes project to project. How do you work? What tools? Um,
Um,
yeah,
Yeah,
just
tools. Yeah, I work on paper for the all the drawing, and so all the penciling, all the inking I do on paper. Um, I mean, to get technical, it did change over the course of this. I think when I started, I've always do the panel borders with a Micron '08, and I think when I started, I was using a Pentel Pocket
okay.
brush pen for most of the drawing, but then also sometimes a zebra brush pen, which is more of a marker than a brush pen. But by the end, I'd switched to a Pentel Fude brush pen and basically using that for as much as possible, except for very, very fine details, which I'd use like a Micron '01. Um, and sort of, but I do find like my appreciation for a tools like change. Like it's like, oh, I used to like, yeah, I used to like the brush pen a lot, the pocket brush. And then all of a sudden it was just like, no, this pen gets too affected by humidity and it glops, and it just puts too much ink out. The Fude, it has more of a control of the ink flow, and so the humid Pennsylvania weather doesn't affect it. Um, I like the brush pens basically because I guess they're neater, but also to me their quality remains the same longer than like a traditional pen. Traditional pens I would always just sort of I think I'm just kind of hard on tools. Would always just like I need to be buying more and they're and the brush pens are cheaper and work just as well.
My
Um,
my 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 wife is an art teacher, an artist, and like
mhm.
she just like that when you ask her what to get her for her birthday, Christmas, whatnot, it's just art supplies. It's like, well, which one?
Yeah.
She's like, it really doesn't matter. I'm gonna go through them all. You know what I like? I mean, there have been times where I've given her the same present 3 events in a row without like realizing it. And like I'll realize it because like I come across the unopened last one and I'll go, Kelly. And then like a month later, she'll have gone on a tear with that particular type of pencil or whatnot and
Yeah.
be almost out of them. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I get the artist and the
Yeah. I
stuff
mean, it's
vanishes.
yeah, and I think for me, I like a certain amount of unpredictability,
Right.
and so when things get too predictable, possibly with a tool, I'll want to try something different, sort of be figuring things out. But yeah, so I would draw everything on paper first, and then scan it in and do all the coloring digitally.
And so the coloring's digitally. So then my follow-up question to that is like, do you pencil, do you do you pencil, ink, and color a page at a time? Do you do it a section at a time? I mean, uh,
Um,
how are you making your decisions on, are you somebody,
well, I would so what I would try to do as many pages as possible as I could within a week.
okay,
Um, but I was working on Drome. I did 4 other books concurrently. So like you talked about me being on the show other times. I was
right.
working on Drome
On the, oh
at
yeah,
that
yeah,
time,
yeah.
and so Drome was always like the thing on the back burner. So like when I had finished my pages, my page for the day for Ghost of Science or my page for Man's Best, then I would work on Drome. And I would try to do at least 2 pages drawn a week,
Okay.
hopefully more sometimes,
Drawn and inked
depending on the
or
pages.
just penciled?
Drawn in ink, yeah,
Okay.
inked. I don't. I try and I don't really count penciled as anything. So
Okay. And that was what I was trying
to
to
me,
get at is like, so do you do you pencil and ink a whole page and then move on, or
I,
you
I prefer
penciling a
if
sequence?
no, I prefer chunks that can be like considered done.
Okay.
I think this just comes from having a day job of like a page that goes unfinished for a week is a really hard page, no matter what you've drawn, like just like that lag, that like negative, that static inertia is really hard to overcome. And so like trying to be able to like get to a finished state in a sitting was always sort of one of my goals. So like I feel like my penciling, I feel like my layouts I spend more time on than most people. My penciling I spend less time on, and my inking
Okay.
probably,
So
honestly,
you
probably
also
less than
consider the
most people.
pencil and layout stages as separate stages.
Yeah, yeah. So I'll
Okay.
like,
So do you
be
layouts and
thinking,
thumbnails or
yeah, like little 2 by 3 inch drawings
okay.
of what and mainly they're just squares. They're just the panels. They're not really much content of the panels. I do all that in pencils. Um, and then ink it. And I try to do that if possible within one sitting. It's not always possible. And then one of the great things about Patreon was this feeling of having an audience. So I'd try and color 2 pages a week. So I'd try to be like I tried to be at least like 10 pages ahead in terms of drawing, and then color the 2 pages I would post on Monday on Friday.
Okay.
So it was sort of like constantly, I guess, producing finished work. Um, and I think also another one of the big things that sort of, I think a lot of other people do like full book planning, like they'll do like thumbnails for the entire book. Um, but then, but I don't do that because that just seems like a lag for me personally.
Okay.
But the payback is that, oh, I go back and edit like and throw away finished pages. And I think people who thumbnail the whole thing in advance don't throw away finished pages. Um, while I do it embarrassingly regularly. Like I like Hedra is probably the worst
I,
example
I mean, I'm gonna
where Hedra's
tell you
56
right
pages,
now
but there
that
were
like
56 pages thrown away as well.
you're
So like,
officially famous enough that you shouldn't throw away pages. Sell them as
oh,
outtakes.
they just go into they just go into a crate.
Okay.
Like
Okay.
I don't actually throw them away.
Just
They
wanted to
they
make
just get taken out
certain.
of the book. So
Every once in a
yeah.
while, there's an artist that means it. They're like, "Oh, I decided that was crap," and my wife
Yeah,
throws away
I
so
don't
many things that
really,
I wish she didn't.
yeah, I don't really throw that much away. It is starting to become like a storage thing. Like there's
Yeah.
all the sketchbooks, like there's so many sketchbooks. And they're, from going back like 20 years. And there's nothing good in that 20-year-old sketchbook. Like you'd like to think that there's some like gem in there. It's like, no, it's all garbage. And so it's like,
Okay,
why
would
do I
I think
keep
it was
this?
all garbage? The guy
Maybe
that can't
not,
draw?
but maybe not, but like I don't know. It's at
Yeah.
best the kind of stuff that's like, oh, you really like the Beatles? You'll really enjoy this really urgent early version of the one after 909. Like, and you'll enjoy listening to another early version of the one after 909 and another one. Like, which to
I
me, it's
am that
like
nerd.
there are those people, but I'm talking about the Beatles. Like, I'm talking about like highest level of esteem, fame that you can get. And I'm just a guy. I don't think that there's that much interest in like a bad
I,
drawing I did. That went nowhere. It didn't even
I,
become the one
I
after
don't know.
909.
I
It's the
just want
one
to be the
before.
I just want to be the first one to say it out loud, or at least pretend that I'm the first one to say it out loud, because I bet you I'm not. Um, Give it 20 years and people will call you the modern Mobius.
Uh, I don't. I don't think so. But we'll see. Hopefully, I'll just be able to keep doing this for 20 more years.
I'm certain that you will. Um, Before I let you go, and for that matter, even before I get to my favorite final question, I wanna talk. Um, and these things are kind of even tied together. I'm flipping through your all of your T Public images that are available as t-shirts
Oh,
and
okay.
stickers and whatnot. And like the pandas have turned into panda delivery service.
Right.
Tell me where, because I love these. I think I have five of the panda stickers already that I bought from you at
Yeah.
C2E2. Um, and I just uh, when I mean you're the only person I've ever bought a remark from, and it's like, oh, the reason I'm doing this is because you're doing these absurd things, and here I have
Yeah.
this copy of Man's Best that has some of the old designs. I don't know if you remember,
Right. Yeah.
I had you draw it in, so mine has
Oh,
one
okay. Yeah.
extra.
One extra drawing of a
One
of a
extra
cat or a dog.
drawing in the drawings
Um,
inside the ash can.
yeah. Um, yeah.
Um,
I think.
Because I
I feel
think that
like
this
the
also leads to why your books are so good, is that you design characters that, I mean, they have a certain level of absurdity to them, but they also
Mhm.
have, it's not just a panda in a pirate hat. Like
Yeah.
I'm seeing emotion from him. I'm see, you know,
Yeah.
he
I,
seems stern and
yeah.
ready to, whereas the panda shark, it looks more like the really, how many more hours do I have to be
Dressed up
the
as the shark.
like the stupid thing at the amusement park, but the panda gorilla is like, this is kind of cool.
Yeah.
You know, he's
I,
looking up through the eye, you know, with this. I mean,
yeah.
you, part of drawing great comics is the acting. And
Yeah.
even with your silly drawings, you know, before I went back to the pandas, I was looking through the category that you literally call absurdity. Only
Hmm.
like I'm looking at it and going, the I Heart Donuts is just I mean, yes, it's absurd, but like
Yeah.
uh,
I think it's that sort of thing started with like um
Lone Bird and Chick, I might have to order that
yeah
for myself.
um looking at like old
J
sci-fi
Minotaur,
books, um like old sci-fi books, and they have these amazing covers that almost have like nothing, like these magnificent covers that no story can do justice for.
right?
Part of the joy of this cover is you imagining what what is going on and what the story is, and kind of when you read what the story is, it it just loses that dream like quality. And so I think with these sorts of drawings, like they started off with that sort of idea of like suggesting dreams. And then they sort of took their own turn and started just getting like weirder and cartoonier, like much more of a, I don't know, like I think like a literal like pop cartoon look as opposed to the way I sort of draw comics most of the time. Um, and that panda shark is like far and away the most popular thing I've ever drawn. Like
I have
the
one.
number of panda sharks I've sold on TeePublic, the number of bootlegs that people have made of it, like the number of stickers I sell at any convention, the like if I post it on Instagram, the like or any social media, the amount of likes it gets, the attention it gets, people talking about it. There is something there's something in that image that hits in a way nothing else I have drawn uh, has, and and it's something that like I wanted I wanted to sort of take all these ideas, and I know I just said like, oh, they don't benefit from having a story, but try and figure out a form where I can put like a sequence together, a sort of narrative together with these kind of crazy, outlandish ideas. That's this kind of constant dream state. And that's what Panda Delivery Service is sort of this absurdist, crazy things like basically like trying to jam as many ideas onto a page as possible, and much less like layout focused, much less not really worrying about paneling or that sort of thing, and just sort of this kind of crazy fun energy. And yeah, I'm about 20 pages into that. It's going
Right.
up on Patreon,
Yep.
one page a week. Not like Drome, I was able to do two, but with this, the way the drawing works, it's like the letting my ideas flow and connect the way they do. I actually find it's much more time consuming, and so it's a much slower process. But I think it'll probably end up being 50 ish pages, sort of a
it's
unpublishable
been,
medium length.
oh no, it's totally publishable. I
No,
mean,
no, 50 is a difficult
oh,
number for publishers
you're
because
right.
it's not it's really
48
big
they
for
like better.
a floppy. No, even 48 is sort of problematic. Like it's not
Yeah.
big enough to be a graphic novel. It's a little too long for a floppy. It can be a one shot.
Well, this is
One
no
shots do notoriously badly.
50 is very common in the European market, which I don't think you've done anything as a Band-Aid Disney first. So now's your next challenge.
Well,
You've
there's
gone
been
Hooligan, you've gone
there's Hydra. Hydra's come out in France.
Did
Came
it
out in
come?
France this year.
No, but did it
Um,
start there? No, what
no,
I mean
no,
is
no.
you seem to
Oh,
have
I
had
go
everything
France first.
start somewhere.
Um,
50 pages means that you should
we'll
just pitch
see.
it to
Pitch it in France. Um, I think I will be at an expo later this year, so yeah, I'll try.
I mean, if you want, I'll
See
get
whether
you
it
in
can happen
contact
then.
with Matt Madden, see if he'll do the French translation. I don't know if he's gone from English to French before. He's gone from French to English a couple of times.
Yeah, well, there's not that many words, so
Well, so he should be able to
probably be
handle it.
doable in French.
Yeah, I'm flipping through the pages right now. It just makes me giggle. Um, yeah. So this is my favorite question to ask anybody, which is why you've gotten it a couple times before. Um,
Remember,
The see, nobody ever does, and that makes it perfect because it's one of those that like I expect the answer to be different every time, even if you're not trying. Um, Tell me something you love, preferably a comic, but we don't really have rules. Preferably storytelling, but again with the rules, but something that you love that not enough
um,
other people have experienced and you need them to, so you have more people to talk
oh,
to about it.
you know what? I've been reading. Double check on the name. I love Jordan Crane.
Oh yeah.
Like the book I've been reading is called like Getting To, I think. Is it Keeping To? Sorry, my apologies.
Yeah.
Keeping To. And I was just reading it, and the narrative things that he's doing, and the level of storytelling that he's doing with panels and times and like what's imaginary and what's real, it's just fantastic. And Jordan Crane is one of those artists. Like I discovered him when I was in college, so like
Yeah.
25 years ago, in a book, a series called Non, and which is maybe it's getting collected or has gotten collected by Fantagraphics, but I think
Right
it's all out
now
of print.
they've got Goes Like This, which I know collected. That's his
I think
most
that's collecting.
recently um
Yeah,
collects all of the acclaimed short stories from
uptight, I
self-published
think.
magazines and anthologies such as Now and Uptight.
Okay. Um, but yeah, Non was this one that he did, in the late 90s, early 2000s. And it's just, he has been like such like an influence. And I feel like he's, it doesn't get, I mean, nobody gets as much attention as they should, but I feel like Jordan Crane's work, like I was just looking at it, like, this is mesmerizing what he's doing in Keeping Two. And it's just a fantastic book. It's
No,
beautiful. Like his
I
coloring
need
is
to
wonderful.
I need to reread it again now.
His drawing's
Yeah,
amazing. Like that Non is probably like it was only one of them that I could get, and it is probably the most read comic I've had. He's not the only artist in it, but he's the one I
right.
remember the most. Um, and yeah, so Jordan Crane, somebody I love.
That is a fantastic recommendation. Well, no, that's Now, the new comics anthology. Here I
Yeah, I
am
don't know if
going to
Non's been
find.
collected. Non might be out of print. like
Yeah.
completely, because it's not just his stories. There's a bunch of other
Right.
people in there as well. And so it, and I think if you want to buy copies of Non, I think you are going to pay a lot of money
Yeah,
for
no,
them.
that's what it looks like.
Like,
Particularly because
um,
it looks like they did some interesting things with packaging. I'm just looking at number five
yeah,
right now.
yeah,
This feels very raw
but
inspired in terms of let's
yeah,
make the whole book an experience. Very
yeah,
cool.
but
Very,
yeah,
very cool. But no, that's a
yeah.
fantastic. I mean, again, I haven't read enough Jordan Crane. I don't know if I
Mhm.
knew Non, but now it's officially um on my list of things to look out for
Keep an eye
because
out for.
yeah,
I don't
the
know if that one's gonna pop up. I feel like that's like there are things where you can go places and you might find weird stuff.
no,
Those are
this
the
is definitely
ones.
one of the ones that if I go trying to find it, the only way I'm going to find it is if I pay way, way, way too much for it. But if I
Yeah,
have it in the back of my head where every indie comic shop, used
yeah,
bookstore, whatever I'm in, it's one of
hmm
the things that I'm
yeah.
looking for.
I mean,
I'll
I
stumble
remember where I
across a
got.
copy here and there,
Yeah,
you
yeah. I
know.
remember I bought it on Church Street in Burlington, Vermont. Like,
Right. No, well, Jesse, thank you so, so much. It's always a pleasure. The book is
yeah. Thanks for
Drome.
having me.
I love it, love it, love it, which people who have been listening to this show knew already, because it may have come up once or twice over the last couple of years since
Yeah,
you finished
it's
that first
been in process
draft.
a lot. Yeah.
I was actually looking back during the show. I think I put it on one of my best of 23 lists. So it wasn't on the best.
Oh,
You
really?
were on the best of 24 list
Oh, with
because
Man's
you
Best.
made it with Man's Best and
Okay.
your Truesdale. Um
Okay. Yeah.
like all every list I've ever made for this podcast has involved Jesse Lonergan.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I'll have to do
and
something good next year, I guess.
well, and I discovered you like roughly because not quite exactly because of the podcast, but like I'd read Hedra and it was on my radar, but I think it was when um you did Ghost of Science Past with Joe. So when
Hmm.
I had reached
Yeah.
out to Joe, he's like, "Oh, I'll bring Jesse with me." And I
Yeah.
went, "Cool." And then I looked at, I'm like, "Oh, I know Hedra." And then I reread Hedra and I liked it even better than I had the last time.
Oh, well, that's
And
good.
I started like looking for other stuff and then he's just started doing more and more awesome work. And it's been a pleasure watching you finally be appreciated by the rest of the comics world too. I mean, I also remember like I think I had emailed you and Pornsack within like 30 seconds of seeing the announcement for Man's Best. I'm like, wait a minute, Pornsack and Jesse.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
thank you so much. Thank you for your work. Thank you for your time. Um,
Thanks.
I can't wait to see what comes next. And for 22
Yeah.
panels, this has been Jesse Lonergan, and we will see you after the next page.